Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, and whether it's Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we're going to do the Tao, ladies and gentlemen. Reading from Dr. Wayne W. Dyer's Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. And we've been applying and trying to practically put the wisdom of the Tao and the wisdom of the ages into practice into our lives so that we can achieve a higher quality of life, ladies and gentlemen, because don't we all want a little higher quality of life? So today we're looking at the 23rd verse of the Tao Te Ching. Last week we looked at we skipped a week last week, sorry. So a couple weeks ago we looked at living with flexibility, and that video was titled How You Can Face Anything Life Throws at You, something like that, with flexibility. And that was a fantastic one. Today, our chapter is titled Living Naturally, ladies and gentlemen. And so I wonder if this will have some kind of correspondence with what we talked about yesterday on our Wednesday Wisdom, because there was a little bit of squirrels in mountains and monkeys in trees comparisons, and that was about judgment and the differences of some kinds of nature, and how that some things move very fast and other things stand very still, but yet it is all the same force. Now, let's begin with reading the 23rd verse of the Tao Te Ching. To talk little is natural. Fierce winds do not blow all morning. A downpour of rain does not last the day. Who does this? Heaven and earth. But these are exaggerated, forced effects, and that is why they cannot be sustained. If heaven and earth cannot sustain a forced action, how much less is man able to do? Those who follow the way become one with the way. Those who follow goodness become one with goodness, and those who stray from the way and goodness become one with failure. If you conform to the way, its power flows through you. Your actions become those of nature, your ways those of heaven. Open yourself to the Tao and trust your natural responses. Then everything will fall into place. That's a powerful one, ladies and gentlemen, and that's a metaphor that I reference often when sometimes in life we rest. Maybe like last week is a good example. I was like, I'm just going to take the week off. I've been doing this every week since January. And I'm like, I was trying to practice the art of showing up. But the paradox of practicing the art of showing up all the time is exactly what it says here, is that these are exaggerated forced effects, and that is why they cannot be sustained. If heaven and earth cannot even sustain a forced action, then how much less are we able to do so? And it explains that by fierce winds do not blow the entire day. A downpour does not last the entire day. It's not even nature can sustain a forced action, doing something all the time. So there are these periods in our lives, ladies and gentlemen, that we have to rest, and we have to be okay with it, because those who follow the way become one with the way, but those who stray become one with failure. And I think honoring both sides, honoring the time when it is time to rest and allowing that, and honoring the time when it is time to act and allowing that, and being at one with both will lead to great success in your ventures in life, ladies and gentlemen. That's kind of my thoughts and where my mind's going as I'm reading that today. And if we can begin to align ourselves with the force, or open ourselves to the Tao and trust our natural responses, which is what that was like, okay, naturally I just feel like I need to rest. then everything will fall into place, ladies and gentlemen. And so hopefully that works for you in your life. Honoring living naturally. And that is Wayne Dyer's title for this chapter here today, Living Naturally. And so we'll just jump right into it and see what we can learn, because that's why I love doing this, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bit of me, it's a bit of Wayne, and it's a bit of Lao-tzu, all coming together for some wonderful wisdom of the ages, or this time, wisdom of the Tao. Now, and I also have this book linked below. If you expand the description, you can get the physical copy for yourself to support Dr. Wayne Dyer's family and the publishing company, and a small percentage to myself, hopefully. Now, living naturally, ladies and gentlemen. And the real reason you should get the book is because it's the most excellent reference material that you can have on any one of your shelves in any one of your lives, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. Living naturally. Wayne Dyer begins by saying everything that composes ultimately decomposes. Interesting place to start. He continues, notice that I put the emphasis on the word thing. That's because all things on earth are temporary and in a constant state of change. Since you are on this planet, and you too are part of this always changing and always decomposing principle, in this 23rd verse of the Tao Te Ching, you're asked to observe the ways of nature and then make the choice to live harmoniously with them. And this has been a big theme throughout the Tao and the wisdom of the ages, is being able to be at one with nature, or at one with the force, the organizing intelligence, life, whatever it is, being able to flow, like rowing your boat gently down the stream, not frantically paddling your boat up the stream, you know what I mean? Gently, smoothly, allowing and reacting, having an ability to respond and flow with some gusto. And we've talked about this a lot, so let's continue here before I keep rambling. So, since you're on this planet, you too are a part of this always changing and always decomposing principle. In this 23rd verse of the Tao Te Ching, you're asked to observe the ways of nature and then make the choice to live harmoniously with them. Nature doesn't have to insist, push, or force anything at all. Storms don't last forever. Winds blow hard, and they have been lately, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know where you're at, but down here in the Midwest, it has been a windy couple weeks. Leave me a comment. Let me know if it's been windy for you lately where you are. But winds blow hard, but then they subside. The Tao creates from an eternal perspective, but everything is on its return trip home the moment it comes into being. So Lao-tzu instructs that if you live harmoniously with this simple principle, you'll be in tune with nature. Let go of a desire to force anyone or anything, and choose instead to consciously be part of the cyclical pattern of nature. Lao-tzu reminds us that not even heaven can sustain a forced action. In its inherent benignness, maybe that's a good way to put it, its inherent benignness. It's like it does nothing and leaves nothing undone. So in other words, it's like doing everything, but there's no trace of it. Its inherent benignness, all action has a temporary existence and returns to a calmer state. In contemporary language, we'd say that everything blows over eventually. That was making me think of the line, it's not the bars, but it's the space between the bars that hold the tiger. I'm not sure why that popped into my mind, but the teachings of this passage invite you to pause, Wayne Dyer continues, in the midst of strife and tension, and remember that serenity and peace are the way. And haven't we said that a lot lately? I was going to say enough, but we can never say it enough. We got to keep saying to make happiness the way. Make peace the way. Make serenity, the peace of mind, the tranquility that we were talking about yesterday. Make that the way rather than the destination, because if it is the destination and we're always striving and never arriving, then we'll never know how to arrive when we get there, and then we'll just continue to create a new goal and keep striving. But we need to begin arriving and making it the way that we show up and make it our activity in life rather than what we're trying to achieve through our activities. Now I'll continue if I can find my spot again. To pause in the midst of strife or tension, remember that serenity and peace are the way. It did say are on the way, but you can bring them with you along on the way. This verse emphatically, easy for me to say, points out that you have always had a choice. In every single situation, you can choose to observe exaggerated and forced energy. It might be verbally attempting to control a situation or cursing how life's events are unfolding. Regardless, these moments can be invitations to open the Tao even while in the midst of chaos and angst. This is how to follow the way. Remember how nature blows hard and then returns to calm. Follow the goodness of the Tao and you become goodness. Stray from the goodness and you become one with failure. You are part of the law of form in time and space, composing and decomposing. Everything in nature is returning to its source. The question is, do you wish to participate consciously with this natural goodness? Or would you rather spend your moments in anxiety and failure? The Tao response to this crucial question isn't within your ego, for it strongly believes in your ability to force things, to make things happen, or to be the person in charge. And that's your ego there. Your ego is constantly telling you that you have to force it, you have to make it happen, and you're the one in charge here, so do something about it. And there's a way that you can be in that position but not be controlled by the ego. The ego makes a wonderful servant, but a terrible master, ladies and gentlemen. So the Tao points the way. The Tao points out that the way is responsible for everything with a naturalness about it that isn't forced. It reminds you that what seems so devastating in the moment is benevolent perfection in another moment. When you conform to the naturalness of the universe, you cooperate with this all-creating power that flows through you. And this is another one of those keys to manifesting, ladies and gentlemen. I might come full circle and write that book one day, The Keys to Manifesting, but hopefully whoever's following along is slowly picking them up and unlocking the doors to creating their own life on purpose and becoming a manifester or the magician. Now, when this all creating power flows through you, wow, this is a good bit. I'm going to go back a couple lines. It reminds you that what seems so devastating in the moment is benevolent perfection in another moment. And when you are able to conform to the naturalness of the universe, you cooperate with this all-creating power that flows through you and everything, and then suspend ego-driven plans and instead participate in the power that created you. Allow it to be the guiding force of your life. And if you can begin to do that, if you can begin to let go and flow with where your life is taking you. Remember, we are all on our path and we're all exactly where we should be because we're learning and we're growing, and it's just fine. And we can allow this organizing intelligence that we were talking about yesterday to be the guiding force in our life. And when we can begin to flow with the way, the naturalness, the Tao, whatever it is that life throws at us, and we can, face it with, what was it last time? Flexibility. Face it with flexibility, then we can really have control and live much higher quality of life. And that's what this is all about. So here's what Lao-tzu says to you through Dr. Wayne Dyer, and then through me with my ramblings now added to this, from his 2,500-year-old perch, sitting up there like a wise master, and his perspective in this verse of the Tao Te Ching. Change your life by actively observing nature's way. See how thunderstorms or fierce winds are temporary conditions that pass, instead of thinking of them as destructive or inconvenient events. And I've been really thinking of the fierce winds as an inconvenient event lately, ladies and gentlemen, but it is important to see that how they are temporary conditions. I mean, it's calm out there now. And if we use that metaphor to remind us of our own lives and how that, in our lives, these times of fierce winds and heavy storms, it feels like we'll never make it out. It's like the old saying, if you're going through hell, then keep going, because you'll get out on the other side. If you're going through the dark times, don't stop. Don't start camping there. You got to keep going. Keep going and keep growing, ladies and gentlemen. That was something I said in one of my very first videos a couple years, might be almost 3 years ago now, since I started this channel. If you've been watching since the beginning of this channel, please leave me a comment, let me know. I'd love to do something special for you, or kind of reward you in some way, because it's been a personal journey of mine, and I'm hoping that somebody has picked up some pieces and some keys along the way. Now, sorry, I got off track there. Thunderstorms or fierce winds are temporary conditions that pass. Instead of thinking them as destructive or inconvenient events, we need to notice that it is temporary. When what seems like a forceful, uncomfortable situation arises, seek the natural cycle. Affirm to yourself, this is a temporary setback. I'm going to release myself from having to be the person in control. Then observe what you're feeling with openness to what is in this moment. Remember that this is nature's method. Center your mind in a natural way, in perfect rapport with the patience of the universal Tao. And I'll add to the end of that paragraph, that you begin to come into control, and you have real power and real control then when you have done this process. And it's the ultimate paradox, because it begins with releasing yourself from having to be in control. It's like you're in the water and you're trying to hold on to the water, trying to push it down and get it to do what you want it to do. And then it's like when you release and you start to feel the water, ladies and gentlemen, you can kind of start to work with it. And then the control that you were so strongly trying to force and, grasp onto and push and make it happen. Once again, the line that not even nature can sustain a force action. So how much less is man and earth able to do? It's not nature, actually. In the verse, it says, if heaven and earth cannot sustain a force action. But either way, and it's like when we're in the water, this is the paradox of connecting with the force, or connecting with divine intelligence, the flow, the Tao, the creative power that we all have, whatever it is that you want to call it. It is this paradox of this kind of activity, to where we release ourselves from having to be in control, and then observe what we're feeling. So you remember yourself in the water. You're like, whoa, the water's rippling from this side and coming across, and me pushing against it is actually doing the opposite of what I'm attempting to achieve, which is to float to the top so I don't get drowned. And so once you can feel the water and observe what you're feeling without judgment, which is what yesterday was about, with openness to what is in this moment, then you remember that this is the great way. This is nature's method. I'm kind of paraphrasing because this is a great lesson right here. You remember that this is it. The divine intelligence is flowing no matter where you're at. So you're like, whoa, I feel it. I'm open to it with an awareness that you're not so trying to control the moment, but rather you are seeing the moment as it is, for what it is, and then you are beginning to feel it and flow with it. And then you remember that this is the great way, and you center your mind in the natural way, in perfect rapport and flow with the patience. And patience is a really huge key here. We're almost describing how you manifest. You have that patience of the universal Tao, and you just let it happen. And you continue the process. You're like, okay, I let go, I'm fine. You know, I'm going to feel it out, respond with ability. And this is great. I'm so glad that little bit was in here, because I'm going to come back to that and reference that. If you're getting value, consider subscribing and smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. And if you smash it twice, it'll unlike it. So smash it 3 times. Now, change your life. Change your thoughts, change your life. That's it. No, I'm kidding. All right, change your life by trusting your ability to respond naturally to the circumstances in your life. At first, this may involve observing yourself in a friendly way instead of responding immediately. Because most people do, we beat ourselves up, and it saddens me. It's like most of our trouble in life comes from the negative thoughts that we have about ourselves. It's like maybe just, sorry, I keep getting off the writings here, but it's important to me. I'm like, maybe instead of beating ourselves up, we should first say, is this something that I would say to my friend? And if you don't have any friends, welcome. I'll be your friend. Leave a comment and say what's up. But, you know, it's like, would I talk to a friend this way? You know, and if somebody was talking to my friend this way, would I allow it? Say, listen, you don't talk to my friend like that, buddy. And so if your mind is talking to you like that, you tell your mind, listen, buddy, you don't talk to my friend like that, because I'm my friend. Hope that made sense, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll re-say what Dr. Wayne Dyer was saying here. At first, this may involve observing yourself in a friendly way instead of responding immediately. When you feel your inclination to make your opinion known, let this urge silently tell you what it truly wants. Your body knows how to be at peace and wait out the storms of life, but you need to allow it to feel that you're welcoming its signals. It's very important. And so be still and allow yourself to be in harmony with the creative Tao, opening yourself to its power. T.S. Eliot evokes the natural cycle in his poem, Ash Wednesday. Because I know that time is always time, and place is always and only place. And what is actual for only one time, and only for one place. I rejoice that things are as they are. That's the idea, Wayne Dyer says. Rejoice in the stillness of the Tao. That's a beautiful poem. I'm gonna have to put that one on a little like sticky note or something and place it somewhere where I see it every day, because that's such a great one. Because I know that time is always time, and that place is always and only place, and what is actual only for one time, and only for one place. I rejoice that things are as they are. So Wayne Dyer gives us a recommendation at the end of every chapter so that we can put these high and lofty and mystical ideas into practical action in our life, ladies and gentlemen. You know, like the old saying, the meat and potatoes, the most important part of the meal. Well, it's funny because now that we know that it was actually the vegetables and not the meat and potatoes that were the most important part of the meal, but maybe that was a famine time kind of thing, ladies and gentlemen. So before I get off subject, be sure to visit the description and get yourself a copy of this book, because this last section of each of these chapters and each of these verses of the Tao Te Ching is most important so that we can begin to apply this kind of stuff into our life. Do the Tao now, Wayne Dyer says. Spend an entire day noticing nature and the countless instances that it cycles organically. Seek at least 3 ways that you'd like to be more natural in your response to life. The cat curling languidly in the sun might symbolize how you'd like to be. Or perhaps it's the dawn slowly illuminating the dark without rushing. Maybe you prefer to focus on the tide comfortably coming in and going out, apparently without judgment. Find your symbolic images, whatever they may be, and invite their counterparts in the Tao to blossom within you. Boom. If that's not a boom to wisdom, I don't know what is, ladies and gentlemen. I really liked this one today. I don't even know if I should continue to elaborate, because I think it was so succinctly and so perfectly put. I think by going on anymore, I might get away from the real message here, in that you are one, and you are part of the law of form and time and space, and you are participating in the magnificence of the cyclical ways of the Tao and nature. Yeah, and I think that point about the person in charge and connect, you know, like the paradox that you release yourself from having to be in charge, and then you connect and begin to flow with the way and with nature. And then you begin to make the way the way. And if that didn't make sense, then you begin to make flowing with nature the way that you live life, rather than constantly pounding against nature and trying to win. It's like a great lesson. It's like, do I want to be at peace, or am I trying to win right now? And a lot of times, really, all we're trying to get by winning is being at peace. So if we can bypass the whole process of forcing it, then we can win and be at peace. Once again, if we make happiness the way, ladies and gentlemen, then the goal becomes irrelevant. But I'm going to keep saying my catchphrase because I made it up in the beginning and it was so good, and Jeff liked it a lot the one time I was on his show. So seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment. Seek to discover the hidden wisdom of the ages. And there is just that, ladies and gentlemen. There is wisdom that has been kept hidden in the darkness. And we are bringing it out to the light because we are trying to make it right and live life at a much higher level, a much higher quality. Because, you know, each moment is it. This is it. Right now, right here. We are living life. And that's another mind blower. But before I go on any other tangents, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you so much for everybody that spends time watching these videos, spends time with me and with Wayne Dyer and with Lao-tzu and all the wonderful teachers and, you know, authors and poets and whoever it is that comes up in the wisdom of the ages that we're doing on Wednesdays. We might continue to try to do the Tao on Thursdays. I know yesterday I said Tuesday Tao, but, you know, we're going to do the Tao now, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, thank you so much. Consider subscribing. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Visit the description and buy one of my landscape paintings from my Etsy shop. They're definitely not $100. They're cheaper than that, ladies and gentlemen. So get one because you'll want to own one, and also get yourself a copy of this book because you'll want that on your shelves for yourselves. All right. Love you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back next week with more wisdom of the ages. Ba-dum.